Hello people! Today we are going to talk about some of the ELO system changes that were applied on 13th of December last year. Now I can understand the perspective of BGA, but I still do not like the changes that they have applied, especially regarding Carcassonne. Regarding power leveling and ELO decay, they announced the changes on the BGA forums like this. Power leveling. We encountered many situations of power leveling linked to multi-accounts. Even if we are still fighting against such practices, it became obvious that the current system might encourage it. To prevent this, any consecutive wins against the same opponent will reduce the amount of ELO points awarded from this victory. This reduction will be gradually higher as more consecutive wins are accumulated. This way, we encourage you to challenge other players to keep the original spirit of the ELO. Show your skill at a game compared to the whole community, not just the same ones. ELO decay. In the past, some of the strongest players refrained from playing as they could lose ELO, attempting to prevent losing their hard-obtained current rank. This led to situations where players kept their rank without playing anymore. We clearly want to encourage you to play to keep your rank. This will also help other players to be able to compete against the best. Doing so, a regular ELO decay is introduced to slowly drop the ELO from top-ranked players that do not play anymore. The decay will be minus 10% at the end of the arena season for all strong players, and above that did not play any ranked game. But this could be adjusted later, both scope and frequency. The decay will not move player from a rank lower than strong. Now the ELO decay does not really bother me. First of all, because I play frequently enough so that it will not take effect on me in any way. And second of all, because I think the all-time list should represent the players who play actively and not the ones who have played actively months or even years ago. As for the power leveling though, that's where I have a problem with this new system. Now, although there is not really a foolproof way for me to prove that anyone would be using multi-accounts on the top level, I think even if there were, the amount of people using multi-accounts is so minuscule that it doesn't even matter. And when it comes to the top players, I mean, you can see their play log, like the top ones are not playing against the same exact players 20 times in a row. I haven't seen a single player who has gained a top 50 or even top 100 rank just by playing against one of their multi-accounts. Because you also have to take into account that that multi-account also has to have a high amount of ELO to begin with, so that that ELO can then be moved from one account to another. And having to have multiple high ELO accounts in order to be able to continue doing that on one single account, I think is not easy enough so that it would be worth the time. And even if it was worth enough to someone to get a high rank, then I don't really see what they gain from it. Like, they haven't actually played well to get there. Like, what would they be looking for? Like, respect, or oh hey, I played against these 5 accounts only and now I'm top 3. It's gonna raise some alarms when anyone looks at your games. And that's not exactly what brings the respect, now is it? So I don't really get why this system is invented in the first place. Furthermore, when they say to prevent this, any consecutive wins against the same opponent will reduce the amount of ELO points awarded from this victory. This reduction will be gradually higher as more consecutive wins are accumulated. This way we encourage you to challenge other players to keep the original spirit of the ELO. Now maybe I fail to understand the point of it, but for me it works very differently than what the BGA members have had in mind. Because if you care about your rank, then you also of course care about your ELO points. And if you care about ELO points, then I think you are more likely to refrain from ever playing against the players that you have already had the maximum amount of wins in a row before you end up having 0 ELO points from a win. And when you know that playing against this player and this player can only net you negative ELO points, that doesn't really, in my mind, encourage you to play against them. To me it seems like people are just gonna be starting some blacklists that do not play against this player because you can't practically win anything from them. Now I might be alone with my opinion or I might not, but in any case to me these changes seem very unnecessary and just not very well thought through. Finally, I want to show you how these changes actually have an effect on you. So let's say you win against a player X. Now, if you win against them for the first time, you will not gain any kind of ELO penalty. But if you win against them for the second time in a row, you will have a -3% ELO penalty, meaning that you will get 3% less ELO than you would have gotten from a first time win. For the third win in a row, the ELO penalty will be -11%. In 4 wins, it will be -25%. At 5th consecutive win, the ELO penalty will be -44%. At 6 wins, -69%. And at 7th consecutive win, the ELO penalty will be a full 100%. You will not gain anything from that player anymore before you lose to them and start your win streak again. Now, if you are playing at the very top ranks, over 800 ELO, and you face a 500 ELO opponent, from your first win, you will gain 3 or 4 ELO points. And every win after that, it will be less, less, and less. Now at the end of your 7th win, or 6th win should I say, because you will not get anything from your 7th win anymore, you have gotten anywhere around maybe 16 to 20 ELO points. Now since you cannot gain a single ELO point from that same opponent anymore before you lose, and upon losing you lose around 17 or 18. It does not really make any sense at all to play against that opponent after your 6th win. Because now if you play that same opponent eternally, and let's say you lose every 7th game, you will practically get no progress at all. None. Therefore, after your 6th win, you are encouraged to not play that opponent ever again. And this is the issue. Your pool of opponents, which was already rather small, because there are only so many expert players to begin with, is eventually going to be smaller, smaller, and smaller, until there are none left. Now, of course, this is only a theoretic possibility, because if you are at a stage where you have literally no players to play with because you can't get any ELO from any player. Your ELO is already sky high, and that kind of ELO likely will not be achieved before AI is invented into this game. But this goes to say that in theory this system is horrible, because your pool of opponents is eventually getting smaller and smaller. Now, given the rather small amount of expert and master players, you are already required to wait for quite some time when searching a match. Perhaps, of course, depending on the time of day or night that you search for, but the searching time will also get longer and longer, and it's not going to be that fun after a while. That's my perspective to these ELO system changes. Do let me know in the comments what do you think of this situation, whether you think these changes are great or bad for BGA platform. Bye for now.